and publisher of the Arc Animal Tarot. And this video is probably one of my greatest joys to make for you all, because I get to tell you just how stupid I've been in the last couple of months, and hope that you all never, ever repeat what I've done the last couple of months with my spirit animal. Which actually, I was trying to get a spirit animal for all of us, for me, for all of you. And yeah, it wasn't going so well until it was. And I know I'm kind of beating around the bush and talking around the bush, so let me jump right into it. Last week, I put out a video about the coronavirus spirit animal. And thank you so much for everybody who wrote in, Facebook messaged me, emailed me. I can't even believe how many of you were like, what? You're not going to believe this, but, and then I got all these great stories about seeing a turkey or having an experience with a turkey in a really highly unusual way, in a really highly unusual place. And whammo, here Spirit sends a turkey to me to share with you all to be the, I guess, official coronavirus spirit animal. Some of you thought it was the dumbest thing you'd ever heard, that there would actually be a coronavirus spirit animal. And thank you all too. For the emails that you wrote in, because as sarcastic or maybe aggressive as some of them were, they were pretty funny. So thank you. I love it when you do that. I really do. It gives me a great laugh. So in any event, finally, the world of spirit power and totem animals, the animal allies, the animal spirit guides, they answered my call and they sent me a coronavirus spirit animal for you guys. But for the 2 months leading up to that, I'd gotten crickets. I'd gotten nothing. And it really blew my mind. I just was distraught, and then I was disappointed, and then I was afraid that I'd, inadvertently damaged my connection with that world. Listen, the neuroses when you're in quarantine, it can ramp up, right? So I was thinking about it this weekend again. About, listen, when you sent the animal, it was the perfect animal. It was like this amazing connection to this story that a Native American had shared with me, which was the perfect story for our times, and the symbolism of turkey is the perfect, symbolism and spiritual message for this time. I'm so grateful. Thank you so much. But I really, because I'm the eternal 4-year-old. Why? But why? I've got to know the why of everything. Triple Scorpio. I've got to know why. I can't rest until I know why. So I was really thinking about it this weekend. Interestingly, just in a very relaxed state, no judgment. I'm just like, no judgment. It's not like, I wasn't beating myself up for missing anything at that time. Haha, wait till you hear the story. And I wasn't, like, you have forsaken me, spirit animals. It wasn't like that. I was just like, I wonder what that was all about. And then all of a sudden, I kept seeing my beloved orange tabby cat, Simba, in my mind's eye. So very briefly, I've worked with a lot of animals. I've rescued a lot of animals. I've had a lot of animals. I've fostered a lot of animals. But this cat, he and one other cat, both orange tabbies. I have an enduring love of orange tabbies. They were just my heart, my everything. And unfortunately, Simba had to cross the rainbow. Simba had to cross the rainbow bridge last year. So I really, it's a painful memory for me in a lot of ways. But I, again, from just a really relaxed, almost meditative state, I just couldn't figure out what he would have to do with why I heard nothing from the animal allies for almost 2 months while I was begging them, asking them, pleading with them, lighting fires and doing tribal dances and whatever well, not really tribal dances, but my kind of dance. I'm a tribe of one. What I could do to get them to appear and, give us support, give us inspiration, give us hope, give us the messages that we were needing. And so my mind just kind of drifted like it would in a reading, like in a shamanic journey, just really letting anything that was going to come in, come in. And I was taken to a time a few years ago where I don't let my animals out, especially because I've always, well, for the last 12, 13 years, I've lived on property, and the attrition rate for cats and dogs that are allowed to run amok in the woods or in a neighborhood or whatever it's just too much. And I don't allow that. So Simba had gotten out, and he slipped out through a screen that I don't even know how this cat was able to find. Anyway, he'd gotten out, and I couldn't get him to come to me. He just disappeared, and that was not like my Simba. So immediately I blazed my third eye out. I blazed my shamanic journeying out, and I went hunting for Simba. Where is he? We lived on 10 acres at the time and everybody around us has 10 acres and lots and lots and lots of woods behind us. And in my heart, I didn't feel like he had been gotten by another animal or, a human. I really felt his presence still here, but I had to be really careful because, of course, that would be desperate, wishful thinking. And I looked for 4 days, and it was in the wintertime, and there was a nasty rainstorm, and the temperatures were going to go down to 25, and I simply freaked out. I did all the classic everything you should do. I set his litter out, the treat bag. I didn't sleep for 4 days. I was trolling the woods at 2 and 3 o'clock in the morning, standing still, leaving my own clothes out for him to get the scent. You got it. Okay. So I ended up calling the Florida Search and Rescue, Canine Search and Rescue volunteer organization, told this lady my story and said, I will pay whatever you ask me to pay, but I need you to bring a tracking dog here, and I need that dog to find my cat. So she came with the most beautiful German Shepherd, and, we got on the scent, and sure enough, this German Shepherd kept going to the neighbor's yard and kept circling around this pile of wood, and I'm like, well, that would make total sense. And then wanted to go over to the neighbor's shed, but it's an overhanging shed. It wasn't closed in, and he kept circling around that. And I'm thinking, okay, maybe this dog is gonna, flush my cat out. He's gonna get scared. He's gonna jump into my arms. It's gonna be a happy reunion. Oh my gosh. So 5 hours later, the dog was over it. The lady was like, look, I know that he's primarily spent his time in these two places, but something that she shared with me was very interesting. And so if you guys ever lose a cat, or a cat gets out or whatever, know that cats don't ever really go unless they're taken, or something, they crawl up in a car and they go on the incredible journey. They never stray more than about 1,000 yards from where they live. So if you just kind of take a circular perimeter and start hunting high and low. So anyway, she was just kind of hanging out chatting, and I could tell she wanted to ask me something. And so I said, is there something else I need to know? Have I done something dumb, wrong? Is there more that I should be doing that I don't know? And she goes, I kind of looked you up on the internet before I came here. She said, I do that a lot. I want to know, what I'm walking into. And she goes, I'm really interested in all the psychic stuff you're doing. And I went, well, please. I said, 25 years of doing this, animal communication, remote viewing, and I can't find my own cat. Are you kidding me? Like, I'm ready to hang up my shingle. I cannot track, because for me, it's tracking energy. It's tracking electricity, right? That's what psychic work is all about, whether you're talking mediumship and you are connecting with the energy of the spirits on the other side, whether you're employing remote viewing techniques or, plain old psychic shamanic journey tracking skills, it's all kind of the same thing with a lot of different names, lots of really different great techniques that everybody can use to, expand their own psychic abilities, their own shamanic journeying abilities, especially for soul retrieval, crazy, amazing stuff that can happen with that. But So when I said that to her, I said, listen, this stuff is nothing more than really doing what your dogs do. They get on the scent of something and they track it. Well, I get on the scent, the feel of someone's energy, and I ride it like a roller coaster through time, because time doesn't exist, through space, through potentially dimensions, so on and so forth. And I said, but for the life of me, Simba has just disappeared. It's like I could feel it if he was passed. I said, I have had many, many experiences of knowing a person passed, was in the middle of passing. I said, I actually talked to a lady's aunt, grandma or aunt one time. I was giving this woman a reading while her grandmother, was transitioning, and that lady came to me. I was like, she just recently passed, like literally within the last day or so. And she was like, no. And I'm like, I'm telling you, this woman is telling. She goes, well, she's in the middle of passing right now. They don't think she's going to make it through the night. And I'm like, oh, well, she's not there. You may think she's still there, or she's got a foot in both worlds, but I'm talking to her, and here's her message for you. I've talked to infants who never were born, all kinds of things. So I know what it feels like when an energy has passed on. I just couldn't find his energy at all. So she explained something to me that I thought was so wise, and I've always held this with me, which is, when an animal doesn't want to be seen, they are masters of drawing in their energy and getting very still and very quiet, because they're calibrating their energy to avoid humans, to avoid other predators that are far more sensitive to smells, to sounds, to energy than humans are. So they've really gotten good at and learned how to withdraw their energy, get very quiet, get very, very still. And that's what he was doing. I said, okay, I will try to work around that. P.S. to the story, the very next day, I was talking to a friend of mine while I was driving our truck up and down the road, yelling, Simba, Simba, shaking the treat bag, crying the whole 9 yards. And my friend, who's has since also passed, who's a very fine psychic, very amazing tarot reader, she said, I hate to tell you this, Bernadette. She said, but I just don't think your Simba is with us anymore. And the minute she said, I don't think he's with us, I saw a flash of orange out of the left corner of my eye, and I whipped my head around because it was in my neighbor's yard. And I went, oh my God, I got to call you back. And I just threw the phone down and I whipped the truck in, and I go back, and I only went halfway, and I walked very quietly up the driveway. Simba, honey, it's mommy. Simba. And I saw this little orange head pop around the side of the shed, and lo and behold, it was him, but his eyes were this big. That poor cat was scared out of his mind. And he came running down that driveway and jumped up and literally thumped me in the chest and just clung to my t-shirt. Well, that's not the first time that's happened, where Simba was someplace he shouldn't have been, and he finally could hear me, he could see me, he could smell me, and he came flying at me, and that cat didn't leave my side for 6 months. Anyway, but I also thought back, Simba has been my cat phoenix for as long as from the second that I rescued him. That cat has almost died. He had a terrible bronchial and upper respiratory infection one time, and I almost lost him. He had some, other issues, and the thing that ultimately got him was that he had cancer. So, he lived 13 or 14 years, and that's beautiful. And I was still sitting there thinking, okay, what does Simba have to do with That's exactly what the world of spirit, totem, and power animals were doing, you guys. They got small, they drew in their energy, they got quiet, and they stayed still. They were not trying to use one animal to give us messages. They were using the entire kingdom of animals. of their camouflage techniques, of their energy transformation and manipulation and transmutation techniques and skills. And they were trying to use the whole kingdom and a behavior of an entire kingdom to say, Bernadette, you've got to tell the wild ones and anyone else who will listen, coming up is a time where you're going to have to get still and quiet. Still and quiet, and everything will be okay. That's how we avoid danger. That's how we avoid predators. And listen, you guys, a virus is a living thing. It's a living thing. So it's a predator. Plain and simple. It's a predator. And I felt so dumb. I just felt so dumb. So dumb. Because it was so obvious. Not just for a week, 2 weeks, a month, but almost 2 months, you guys. You'd think I would have gotten the message in a couple of months. So finally, Spirit had to meet me, where I was, which was, I need an animal. Bring me dozens of animals, but send me an animal. Poof, here's a turkey. But in the meantime, the whole world of animal allies was trying to get me to share with you guys, now is the time to play it safe. Now is the time to, I wouldn't say hide, but camouflage, protect from a predator, to get still and quiet. And, listen, for millions of you guys who are quarantined at home, self-quarantine or otherwise, it may be the first time that you've had to sit still and quiet because there are not as many outside distractions. Okay. This has really been a gift in a lot of ways, and not so much in other ways, because there are a lot of people out there spinning who, now that they've got time to think, now that they're slowing down enough that they can't railroad over the thoughts and the feelings of, I'm dying in this job, this relationship is killing me. Maybe even taking a look at some things with their children and having to address them. And also maybe just reconnecting with the sheer joy of reconnecting. And it's a lot of change going on, and it's a good thing. So forgive me, please, for missing the message. I will try not to make that big dumb mistake again. And it's a great lesson that, sometimes we have to dig more deeply, and that the messages are going to come to us in ways that we hadn't even realized or considered. Or in one other instance I want to share with you, because, listen, I do this stuff every day of my life, and I'm a pretty good tracker. If there's an energy trail I need to go down, I'm usually pretty on point. So to whiff this is like, what? So a few years back, 5 years ago now, I had a smaller office here in Gainesville, just me, some rocks and crystals, my clients. It was cozy, it was beautiful. But I'd had so many clients ask me to start teaching again. I'd taken a couple year break from teaching, and I'd had so many ask me, I'm like, and I had 2 astrology readings that year where they were like, so how do you feel about teaching? And I was like, oh, I've been doing it for years, I'm tired. And they were like, too bad, you're going to do it again. You're probably going to end up doing more teaching than you are readings. And I was like, no, that's never going to happen. So I put the feelers out. I started looking on Craigslist. I called a couple realtor friends of mine, and I was looking for a space that would be large enough to accommodate a class of like 25 or 30 people, but in my price range, because it's Gainesville, y'all. I mean, there's a finite amount of people that want to take psychic classes, mediumship classes, tarot classes, shamanic classes. There's a finite amount of people. So I just happened to be talking to my property manager one day, like 3 or 4 days after I started to put out the feelers, and I mentioned, if they had any other buildings, and he said, "What do you mean other buildings?" He said, "There's a bigger space right down on the first floor where the marketing company used to be." I was like, "Really?" He goes, "Yeah, they just moved out a few days ago," on the same day that I decided I was going to get a larger office. Okay, so he came over right away, and he took me down, and I saw the space, and could it have been any more perfect? No. The layout of it was great. Everything was great. They had, to do obviously some rehabilitation things in there because the marketing company had been there, for a really long time. And I was like, okay, well, let's talk price. And we talked price, and it was, relatively within my range that I wanted to pay. But I couldn't get the lead out of my feet, man. I couldn't just do it. And that's not normally like me. Usually things just flow very smoothly if it comes into my awareness, especially in a timely fashion like it did, like the coronavirus turkey did. I'm standing at my window. I'm like, please, please, please send me a sign. Poof, turkey on the top of my neighbor's house in a residential neighborhood. So I said, well, let me think about it. And then I went back 3 more times to see this office. And I meditated, I asked for signs, I called other friends of mine, I'm like, what do you think? So on and so forth. I don't, at the time I just couldn't figure out what's the hurdle? Why do I not just hand this guy a check, pick up the key, here are the colors I want it painted, call it a day. So I wanted to go a 4th time to see the space. And the property manager was like, look, go do your incantations or whatever it is you woo-woo people do. Here's the key. Knock yourself out. So I laughed, and I went in to see the space. It looked the same as the other 3 times I'd seen it, and I still couldn't get the lead out of my feet because I should have just walked upstairs, got a check, gone down to his office, given him a check, executed the lease. That's it. So as I'm walking out the door, I heard a Disney tune coming out of the closet in the foyer. I want to be where the people are. What? Now, I really did hear the song, and I thought, well, I got to go see what's in the closet. So I tiptoe over to the closet. I very slowly open it, kind of peek my head around, and there in this closet that had been empty the other 3 times I'd seen it were now 2 keychains, one with a Mickey Mouse as the sorcerer's apprentice. And what is it I teach? Psychic development, tarot, shamanic journeying, remote viewing, all that kind of thing. I guess you could think of it as sorcery in a Disney-esque kind of way, right? Magic. And of course, Minnie Mouse was there in her cutie pie little skirt. Now, I've often said that my totem animal, despite my zodiac signs, because we all, if you're kind of new to this, just so you know, your zodiac sign, your signs, Chinese, Mayan, Native American, Celtic, Western astrology, they're all animal based. And so those are really the spirit, totem, and power animals that you start off with because they are you. But there can be other totem animals that you identify with that can really be almost more of who you are than your zodiac sign. I don't particularly resonate with scorpions. They hold no fascination for me as an animal, other than all animals are fascinating with their signs and their symbols and their messages and their visitations, and I get that. And I am a Scorpio, triple as a matter of fact, through and through and through. But for me, it's always been a bear. So when I saw that Mickey Mouse, I had to sit down on the floor. It took the wind right out of me. I mean, I couldn't breathe. Here's why. So not only was that closet empty the 3 times before in the week that I'd seen the space, and not only was this mouse wearing, the robe, the garb with the stars on it, the sorcerer's hat, my nickname in my family since almost the time that I was born has been Mickey Mouse. And in my times of greatest despair, a Mickey Mouse shows up for me. One time, oh God, 15 years ago or so, I was leaving a relationship that wasn't so great, and I was broke, and it was miserable, and it was cold, and it was rainy, and I was just like, I need a beer. I'm going to go get a six-pack, and I'm going to sit in front of my fireplace, and I'm just going to have a couple of beers, and I'm going to go to bed because I literally have nothing left in me. So I stopped at the gas station right up the street from my new place. And man, I must have looked like something the cat drug in, because the guy behind the counter said, "How you doing today?" And I said, "Do I look that bad?" And he goes, "You look like you could use a friend." I said, "Fortunately, I do have those. But right now, I need 6 specific friends." And here they are. And I put the 6-pack on the counter. He said, "You have a bottle opener?" I said, "I don't know." Packed away in one of the boxes in the place I just moved to. He said, "Here." And this guy handed me, shoot, it's in my jewelry case. I won't run back and get it. But he handed me a blue scratched, obviously been used a million times, bottle opener that the top of it were the Mouseketeer ears and, the Mickey Mouse head, just shaped in metal. Well, that was it. I just lost it in that gas station. He's like, "I didn't mean to upset you. Are you okay?" And I was like, "And my family told me, so I know my mom is watching out for me. Thank you so much." And I ran out of there, jumped in the truck, and, down the road I went, boohooing my eyes out. So when I saw that key, I love Minnie Mouse, but, whatever. I was just convinced it was a sign on a million levels that I was supposed to take that space. And I did. And I spent a couple $1,000s on new furniture and a video projector and, stuff to set up a for real classroom and hold for real classes. And I forgot to be Paul Harvey and remember, now you know the rest of the story. I totally just focused on, I don't know, maybe it was confirmation bias. I wanted to do the space, and that seemed like the best space, and, it made good sense, and, all this checklist of things, but in my spirit, in my heart, in my gut, I don't know, I couldn't move forward. But I saw that Mickey Mouse, man, like a bat out of Budapest. I went and grabbed my checkbook and I sailed over there. I wrote that guy a check. And then the drama started. I showed up the next day to execute the contract, and the guy I'd been dealing with for almost 2 years wasn't there. He'd been replaced since the day before when I talked to him and handed him a check. And the new guy didn't know anything about the lease, and the lease was wrong, and it had wrong numbers on it. And, well, we're not going to know. The boss told me it's these numbers. I got to go to the boss and get these numbers approved. And that started a month and a half, almost 2 months, of not being able to move in the space, because then we got to talking about colors of the space. And I was like, "No, this guy promised me, here's the paint swatches. They're sitting right on your desk. It's not that big of a deal." He goes, "Well, the owner of the building's wife wants to do it in the new colors, which is like a gray and a dark floor." And I was like, "No, that's going to look like a prison. I'm not interested." So on and so forth. And he goes, "Well, she's already started painting it." And I'm like, "Well, okay, let me go see what color gray." I walk in. I was like, "No, this will never work." I said, "It looks like somebody has smeared a corpse all over the walls." No, I'm not moving into this. No. I'm a metaphysical business. Gray? No. And especially battleship gray. No. And it was one thing after the other after the other. And you'd think I would have gotten a clue. Oh no, because Mickey Mouse was hiding in the closet singing "I Want to Be Where the People Are." So we moved in, beautiful space, classes went great. I had a waiting list. And then the phone call came from the original office manager, building manager that I'd worked with. The new guy hadn't worked out. I could have told you that in 5 minutes of talking to this guy. I was surprised he lasted a week. He was back, and he needed me to vacate the office within 30 days because they'd sold the building they were in, and they were now going to take over the building we were in, the real estate company. And I was like, no, we just signed a lease. And he goes, well, you can stay out that lease if you want, but we're going to be doing 3 months of renovations all around you. And I'm like, you ever heard of a thing called quiet right to enjoyment? And that started, you know, you bring up a legal term to somebody and they immediately circle the wagons and go on the defensive, which was not what I meant, but they were just unwilling to work it out in any way. Bottom line is, we moved, lost money. It is what it is. And the lesson here is, for all you Disney fans, is make sure that you go walk through the rest of the movie like I did when Spirit kept showing me Simba, my cat, for why none of the animals showed up, because it was trying to finally get through to me. The animals were doing exactly what animals do and what they should do when they're being hunted, which is get quiet, get still, and wait. Hide, so to speak. Okay, I missed that one. But on this one, if you remember the Sorcerer's Apprentice, poor Mickey made a big old mess out of things because he was being a sorcerer way before he was ready to work with the magic. And it wasn't premature for me to work with the magic, but it certainly did end up being premature to start holding classes and do this and that, because, and even still just maybe a month or two after we moved, this whole series of events happened. I finished up the classes that I had and then was no longer able to move ahead with other classes. So I would not have needed that space anyway. Who knew? Well, Spirit did. But I was so focused on what I wanted that I really screwed it up with my spirit animal. I mean, listen, you guys, they don't have to show up for us. They do, for reasons that I still can't figure out other than the obvious ones. And I've asked, you know, why do you guys keep doing this for us? Because not all of us treat the animal kingdom as well as we might, right? Not all of us treat ourselves or our families or our friends or other people as well as we might. And I've been guilty of that myself, believe me. They love us. They know we're all a part of each other. And what you do for one person or to one person and an animal, you ultimately do to yourself and for yourself. Like, they get that, right? And I'm sure there are other lots of spiritual, metaphysical, magical reasons that I don't know, but that's all I know is that they do, and I'm grateful for them in every day in every way. And I just have to step it up more and realize that the answer may not always be obvious. Now, because of that, I'm going to do a separate video. I'm making you guys a free checklist, like a spirit animal checklist, because while I know to immediately take into consideration when I get a message from an animal, in a spirit animal, not a totem animal or a power animal, because let's remember, a totem animal is who you are. Your power animal is that animal energy and medicine that you invoke from inside of yourself, because at our core, we're all a giraffe, we're all a shark, we're all an axolotl, we're all a snake, we're all an elephant. Like, we have those traits inside of us. We just use their energy and medicine to call it forth. But a spirit animal is the one that shows up to give you signs and messages and omens and that kind of thing. I know to immediately look at, okay, when this animal came into my awareness, what direction was I facing? What cardinal direction was I facing? What cardinal direction was the animal facing? What color was the animal? Or what were its primary colors? How many of that animal did I see? A little bit of numerology. What season is it? Did I see, you know, in spring, in full-on blazing summer, in the dead of winter? Like, I take into consideration all of those things if the message doesn't hit me like wham. So with the turkey, that message hit me like wham, and I knew that I knew that I knew in my gut of guts, in my heart of hearts, in my spirit, that was the coronavirus spirit animal. When I was trying to find Simba, I was so disoriented because I love him so much. It was ripping my soul into tiny little pieces to think he was injured and couldn't get to me and I couldn't find him and he was suffering, to think he was going to be out in that freezing wet weather. You know, this was a pampered inside pet, and while I do think that, you know, animals don't lose the ability to, you know, to call upon their ancestry, you know, I have no idea where he came from, and I don't know what his survival skills coulda, woulda been. Don't know. And it was killing me. So I know that my spidey senses at that moment, they probably were not on the mark, really. And maybe even, you know, the lady with the canine search and rescue dog suggested to me, she said, you know, she said, when we're afraid, our animals are afraid. She said, did you ever think that you're sending I'm terrified or scared vibes to your cat? So your cat is like, mommy's sending me, because your cat's going to know, your dog's going to know, your horse is going to know, your cow, whatever animal you interact with, they're going to know your energy imprint. And they're going to pick up on you way before you pick up on them. And she said, did you ever think that he's staying and hiding because you're afraid and that's translating to him? And if mommy's afraid, I need to just, you know, stay put, right? And no, I never thought of that. But in the world of metaphysics, that's perfectly plausible. It makes perfect sense to me. And I hope there's never a next time. And I hope for all you wild ones, you never have a next time of that either. But if you do, don't tell your husband that you spent $400 for a search and rescue dog to come in and, you know, hunt over your property, and still not find the cat. But it was $400 of the best dollars I ever spent. I learned a lot. I ultimately found my cat. And, you know, I didn't know those things at the time, so I couldn't get the signs to get to him. And then with the whole Mickey Mouse thing, I mean, come on, y'all. Now, what I later found out was those were the keys to the downstairs restroom that the previous tenant just hadn't brought back yet. But the previous tenant didn't even bring them back to the property manager. The previous tenant just let themselves in the office, put them in the closet, and then just locked the door handle, the little switchy thing, instead of the deadbolt when they left. But the point of that is that they did it the day before I was going to take a fourth look at this space. The keychain sang to me, Mickey sang to me, I want to be where the people are. I want to hold classes. I followed my intuition. I went and looked in that closet, and it could have been anything on that keychain, but oh no, it was a Mickey Mouse in his Sorcerer's Apprentice outfit. I mean, my God, the comedian Bill Engvall, here's your sign. It doesn't get any more here's your sign than that. But I should have listened to my gut and gone, okay, my gut is not really excited. This is just a business thing. I can't move forward. Don't know why. Yes, this is a huge sign. Mickey Mouse in his Sorcerer's Apprentice hat. You know, the key was facing upright. The key was gold, not silver, but gold, you know, a sign of abundance. I mean, listen, the symbolism goes on and on and on, but I didn't sit with it. I went with it, which is fine and has usually worked for me 95% of the time. But in this instance, something was not sitting so kosher with me. And if I'd have sat and thought about it and sat and thought through the movie Sorcerer's Apprentice, because y'all, I grew up in Florida. I'm a Disney girl. My nickname in my family is Mickey Mouse, right? So I very well could have caught that sign. It's premature. Don't take that space, because the magic didn't work out after all. And that was because he jumped into something that he wasn't ready for. So there you have it. Okay. So the upshot of all this, you guys, is I'm going to make it a free, I'll put it up with this video and the rest of the videos. I'll have it done by next week, but it's a spirit animal checklist. If you see your spirit animal comes to you in a meditation, in a dream, you hear it singing from a closet, you know, it materializes in front of you. However it comes to you, you hear a song with the animal in it, you pass by a location and you're like, why is there a giraffe walking up the side of the highway? You know, if you don't immediately, if it doesn't wham, hit you in your heart or in your stomach or in your third eye, and you just know that you know that you know that you know that you know, then you've got a checklist of a way of, you know, really being a hunting dog, and finding your way down that energy path to make sure you've got the rest of the story. And good day. Sorry, I just love Paul Harvey. And hopefully that will help you, because it does help me in times that I'm just can't wrap my head around it. So I hope this was helpful. I am so very sorry that I didn't get the message to begin with. I could have started telling you guys, you know, stay safe, stay quiet, get quiet. If something happens, like, I mean, people are panicked because they've lost their jobs and their businesses may not survive this. And, you know, there's a lot of unrest, there's a lot of uncertainty, and certainly there's a lot of fear. But sometimes the worst time to make a decision is when you're in a state of chaos, and the best thing you can do for yourself is to simply get quiet, get still, and just give things a little bit to unfold. Wait for the messages to come in, ask for the messages to come in, and oh, one more thing, be very specific. When you're asking for clarity on something, it can't be, is this office good for my business? Well, yeah, it did end up being after I lost money, after I had to make a hunt for another office, make another major move 4 months after I made that move and went through everything that I went through to get the darn office. Yeah, the hindsight, you know, priceless, but it doesn't have to be that hard always. And so know that when you ask things like, will this be for my highest and best interest, or the highest and best interest of, you know, my kid, my family, my church, my school, my, you know, the mechanic shop that I work in, wherever, yes, maybe it will be, but then make sure to ask, okay, what are the obstacles that I'll have to overcome to do this? Will there be any obstacles? Will this be the smoothest way? If not, is there another smoother way with the same benevolent, fabulous outcome, but is a little less, you know, rumpy bumpy? Because, you know, I know we grow out of hard times. I get it. But at some point you're like, I'm pretty sure we can learn these lessons without having to walk through the fire. At least that's what I'm manifesting in my life currently. So, and it's working really well. So, thank you all very much for continuing to support. Yes, one more plug. The ARC, I haven't gotten used to this camera angle yet. Yes, the ARC Animal Tarot and Oracle deck. If you don't have yours yet, let me just tell you, it is the most comprehensive animal deck on the market. There are 100 cards in the deck, a 374 page full color guidebook with all of the explanations of each animal card as its tarot card and just as an oracle card, just as a spirit totem and power animal, descriptions of the elements, the cardinal directions, and how you apply those. Gosh, there's just so much in there. And there are 49 other cards available in the expansion packs, and the book for the ARC already has all of those extended descriptions inside of them, inside of it. And so you can go to my website, www.whatismyspiritanimal.com, go to my shop. You can look at the two options for buying just the ARC or the ARC with the 4 expansion packs. And if you are doing shamanic work, if you're doing spirit totem and power animal work just for yourself or for clients, or you're learning how to do it for clients, even tarot and you're a hardcore tarot person or a beginning tarot person and you're looking to bring more animal wisdom in, every one of the 149 cards that are available have not been duplicated, meaning they're all individual animals. The only thing is there is an owl in the tarot portion and there is a pair of owls in the one of the expansion packs. So really there are 148 animals that have not been duplicated. So when you want to talk about being able to get very granular, very specific messages, animal messages for yourself, for clients, friends and family, whomever, there isn't another deck out there that is more detailed, more expansive, more in-depth, or that has again the comprehensive animal availability to you than the Arc. So I hope you consider getting it. And again, thank you, Wild Ones. It's always such my honor and pleasure to help you out, and hopefully this was helpful. And that's it. So I will see you next time. Stay wild.